So, you get a text message. Put my phone on silence. What a great way to start. So, you spent the week starting up your campaign. You got all these new ideas ready. And then you get a text message. Someone can't make it. A phone call. Another person can't make it. And another message on Discord. Your whole party is canceled on you. And now you're left alone and sad. I'm going to talk about the ways to, well, maybe solve party attendance or at least mitigate it. What's up, heroes? Welcome to right off the bat, I stutter. Welcome to the Dragon and Friends Talks, where I like to give tips on my own experience and talk to you guys while I'm, talking about this kind of stuff. And today I want to talk about attendance when it comes to playing Dungeons and Dragons. So, if you're able to get people to play, you know, you've already accomplished the hardest part of playing D&D. And really what's next is, well, creating a schedule. That's the first part I would do to this, is you want to make a schedule. You want to get everyone, figure out what days they can play, figure out what days they can't play, and figure out what days you can play, most importantly of all. What works best for you. And so once you figure that out, that could be, you know, a specific day of the week, unless you're doing a West March, which, if you don't know what a West March is actually, how do you describe a West March? Think of it, it's a campaign that has no arcing story to it. Now, what this would look like is each session is individually in its own kind of story. So each session is its own thing and it doesn't connect to anything else. It could if you want it to, but it doesn't necessarily have to. What this does is it allows people to have more flexible schedules. You can play on Tuesday one week and on Friday the next week, and it lets you switch dungeon masters. So because there's no overarching story, you know, it has its benefits for schedule wise. However, you know, you miss out on some things if you're trying to do a home brew and you really want to create a story and things like that. Now, with that away, and that will come into the future, so remember West March. With that out of the way, after you figure out what day you guys are playing on, assuming you're not doing a West March, you figure out what day you're playing on. Let's say it's a Friday. Me and my group, we play on Fridays at 8 p.m. and we play live on Twitch. That's a plugin. What does your party want and what does your party need? Now, this is very important because what your party needs, if someone has to be at work in the morning, they have to work Saturday mornings, or maybe they don't want to mess up their sleep schedule because they only work mornings, so they can't stay up too late. You know, this could be really important for setting up a schedule, or maybe they have a deadline. Maybe they have to get to work at a certain time and they want to be ready. Or maybe everyone has the day off. You know, everyone, you have the perfect schedule and everyone's off on Fridays, so you can play on Fridays. Pick a good time spot for that. You know, if you're going to be doing it on Fridays, you know, maybe start playing midday, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You know, let some time go by, let it be ready, meet up or play on Roll20, however way you're meeting up digitally or physically, but do it safely during these times. Meet up, and now this is what goes into what your party may want. Your party may want to play for 8 hours. I've had a group. I used to play on Thursdays. They've now switched to Tuesdays, where we would play for 4-hour sessions, and there would just be some days where I would have the day off because I would work on Thursdays, and the second I'd get off of work, I would go and I would play with them. I would DM for them. Now, the days I was off, they always wanted to play an 8-hour game. Same with my Friday group. They want to play 8-hour sessions. They want longer sessions. And it worked for my Thursday group because I would show up earlier in the day. You know, we would show up around 7 o'clock and play. But we showed up at 3 o'clock, or we showed up at, I think, 1 or 2 o'clock, and then we were there till the sun went down, and boy, let me tell you, 8-hour sessions kick your butt. I was physically exhausted by the end of the session. So you want to play, if you can play 8-hour sessions, go for it. However, my Friday group, we used to play, right now we play from 8 to 12. We used to play from 8 till 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, sometimes 4 in the morning. We actually used to start at 7. Now, I stopped doing this partly because some people in the party, their work schedule, conflicted. However, before that even became an issue, it was so late at night. Maybe someone had too many drinks in and they couldn't keep up with the game. I've had people fall asleep while playing, and they want to keep going. They want to have these long sessions, but I realize, not everyone gets tired that late at night, for us, and it just works out better if we can play for 4 hours. We stop at 12 o'clock. We're done. That's a good stopping point. Everyone, has had a good session. They want more. And that leads me to my next point. Once you figure out, okay, this works for your group, this works for your party, I love ending in cliffhangers. This is kind of like a bonus thing. Leave them itching for some more. That's just a bonus tip. That's just something I like to do. I end in a lot of cliffhangers. I make them really sit there and wait. I kind of plan it out for the cliffhanger. If you can do it, go for it. I think it works wonders. But this, and I'm going to say this a lot whenever I talk about these tips and tricks as a DM, you are going to need to communicate with your party. If you're the dungeon master, you're really going to need to communicate to your party, and you're really going to have to set where everything's going to go, and that's going to be real important. Make sure that everyone knows your schedule. So if you are doing a West March, make sure everyone knows when you are free, and if it changes, change it up. Make sure you're updating them every week. So, and that goes for the players as well. Be open. Try to. Everyone's wanting to play this game, so just try to have fun with it. Be flexible with your schedule, at least at most as you can. And yeah, on to the next segment. As the DM, now I'm specifically speaking to the DM because obviously we're trying to keep the party here. Be consistent. I cannot stress this enough. I in the past, I've had so many games fall apart because I was inconsistent. I didn't show up to all the games. I didn't make it when I was supposed to. Show up. If you have a date, you're gonna play on Friday. Show up. Go the extra mile. Show up early. Get there before everyone else. Most of the times, it's being hosted by the DM. But if you're on Roll20, if you're playing on Discord, make sure you're on there. Even if you're still prepping things and you're getting last minute things done, just make sure you are there. And make sure you set the precedent that you will show up every time. As much, and of course life will get in the way. I still miss sessions from time to time, but the game doesn't play without you, the dungeon master. And if you want people to show up consistently, it helps if you yourself are setting a good example. So show up, be consistent, show up as many times as possible. To go on with that, so we're going to roll over and we're going to keep going on into that. Play no matter what. This was another fault that I had when I was first DMing, is that if one person didn't show up, I would cancel the whole thing. And I feel like I'm not the only one that might be out there doing that. I like to play homebrew style games. So, essentially what that means is I don't go by any of these books right here. I may use them for inspiration or get an idea of how the flow of the game can be played and stuff like that. But I do not. I make a lot of my stuff up and I use 5th edition for the structure. And because I do that, I give players story arcs, and they have special things that go on that requires them to be there. And it can be hard, especially if you're making homebrew. And that has its own things, and it's its own video of itself. But if you are not in those critical story points, sure, maybe it would be nice to have everyone there. Maybe it would make things easier. Yeah, you wouldn't have to recalculate the encounters as much. Just do it. Just play anyways. Even if it's just 2 people, play. Like, set it up. And this is the same thing with being consistent. Set it up to where, like, hey, we're going to play all the time. You know, we're always going to play. Because what would happen to me in the past is one person would not show up, and I would, you know, I would cancel the session, or, you know, I would try to go along with it. And then it just got to the point where it was like people would just start canceling left and right. Again, these practices all together help out. And so, you know, you showing up is one thing, but also you making sure that the game is always going to get played is another thing. And so just be ready to be on your feet. If you are using one of the books, again, for the most part, maybe nerf the encounters, but just try to always have the show go on. The show must go on to have it put. And sometimes I've had requests from players that, you know, they're like, hey, can you not continue on? Like, I can't help but miss this session, and can we just, like, not do it? That does happen. Which is going to go on to my next segment, and this is why I was telling you guys to remember about West March. So it's important for West Marches because, and this is something that I'm starting to learn and that I'm going to be getting into myself, and I'm pretty sure it's going to have good success. But what I would do, especially if a player would ask me not to go on, or if I did get stuck in those critical moments, those critical story role-playing moments, and I really, like, couldn't continue the story, is I would do a one-shot. And you can take, you know, you can have your characters, your players play as the same characters, and they can go in and they can go be doing a completely different journey that doesn't have anything to do with this quest that they are on. So have a one-shot, have a playthrough that's West March style, just in your back pocket. Work on it, maybe on a day like today where your party didn't show up, or where my party didn't show up. Make something. You know, you usually put aside 4 hours anyways, or however many hours you play anyways. Make something out of it, you know. Create something so in the future, when they come back, there'll be something ready if you can't do it. I've also had things where I have a lot of new players that I play with, mixed in with my experienced players, and everyone's different. But I have people that just don't like making characters. They don't like having to make new characters and things like that. So if you do have people that flake often, sorry. If you have people that flake often, it is best to probably do what I'm planning on doing, and have a separate, like, weird campaign going on that's West March style. So what that means is have everyone make a second character, and whenever situations like this do occur, maybe it happens once a month, maybe it happens once every 3 months, maybe it happens once every 6 months, they can delve into their other characters and they can play in their West March game. So, and for me, you know, I'm gonna do something about it. I plan on making a Star Wars transmog where everyone plays in the Star Wars universe, but we're using 5th edition rules and things like that. And one, because I'm just a huge nerd and a fanboy for Star Wars, but I can't convince my party to just play a, you know, 100% Star Wars campaign. So whenever people don't show up, they are left to play in my demise, in my world, my game. So it works out, you know, and it also lets you try new things. If you're scared to try something in your main campaign, try it out in these one-shots. And, you know, it allows you to continue on and to go forward with the game and things like that. Now, onto the nitty-gritty. There will be players that just don't show up. They just don't. They can't keep a consistent schedule. Now, if it's for work and it's for legitimate reasons, you know, and they want to play still, and you can see that they want to play, like, cool, and they, they fit with the party. Sometimes that's just rough. If you're doing a homebrew, my suggestion would be like, hey, like, you're welcome to come in like Gandalf. You show up whenever the players need you. Maybe you show up whenever the players don't need you. But like, if you're okay with not really having, your own story arc and things like that, cool. Just show up whenever you can. We love having you. Keep playing. That's my recommendations. Sometimes there's just an extra character that comes in every once in a while. Now, if it's someone that doesn't really fit in the party and they don't show up, or you can tell that they've been losing their interest or passion for playing as much, a lot of times in my experience, and I've had a lot of people, I've had this happen to me many times, is they'll fizzle out on their own. They will stop showing up, and they'll continue to stop showing up, and then they'll finally give a reason that, they just don't want to play anymore. And that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Other times, if you're with a group that isn't consistent, or you're with someone that really, really just can't make things work and they don't fit with the party, as the dungeon master, I think it's your responsibility to go talk to that person. At that point, you've tried, they don't fit with the party, and they can't even really like show up to the games consistently, and they want, that story arc, personalized homebrew, or they don't want to miss anything from the books, and they're asking everyone to hold off doing stuff, then you're gonna have the hard talk where, hey, look, I just don't think you're fit, and I'm sorry, but we're gonna continue playing, and if it's rough, but sometimes that's just what's got to happen. Lastly, it's gonna be inevitable. I have time to make this video because my party canceled on me today. But if it does happen, and you do get that phone call, or you do get that text message, or however else people communicate through you, don't make a big deal out of it. That is that's probably real important. You don't want to make a big deal out of it. Even if you had something really cool and you're real excited about something, even if you had a eureka moment and you came up with something new, and you were ready to show it off, or you spent extra time this week, even though it wasn't needed, but it just felt like, you really wanted to get this done. Don't make a big deal out of it. There's no need to make drama out of such things, and sometimes people will miss multiple weeks in a row. Sometimes people will miss a week, show up, miss a week after that, and it can be weird. It can be sporadic sometimes, and it can be frustrating and difficult. But if you let your party know, or let that person know, like, hey, no big deal, it's all right, we're gonna keep playing, or even if the whole party cancels, just be like, hey, it's all good, don't worry about it, until next time, right? So that's real important. That's real key, because if you do start up drama, or if you do try to make them feel guilty or something like that, it can spiral, and it can turn into them just not wanting to play anymore, or them not feeling comfortable, or them feeling pressured. And you don't want that. At the end of the day, everyone's here to play, have fun, and to that's it. We're here to play Dungeons and Dragons, but do be respectful of other people's time, and it should be real. People should be respectful of your time. So don't be afraid during session zeros, or every once in a while. I do like to remind people, like, hey, I know this is just a game and all, but I do spend 8 hours or 4 hours out of my week to make this happen. So do try to show up. Do try to be as consistent as possible. Don't be afraid to say that. Especially if that's the type of game you want. If you want to play every week, let that be known. We can do a whole video on session zeros and things like that. However, I think I've covered most of it. Again, these are things that work for me. Through my experience over the like decade of DMing and being a dungeon master, this is the best practice. There are variables and situations, everything, but I think this is a good foundation, and it lets you work with a lot of different things. Funny story, actually. My Tuesday group, we went nearly 3 months without playing one time because schedules just kept conflicting, and we ended up coming back. I kept on, I said every session I was like I was gonna try to make it work. I would still show up every session, and even after 3 months, they all wanted to play still. We picked it up and we just continued playing. So be persistent, and if you have a group that wants to play, you have nothing to worry about. So cool. Yeah, hope you guys tell me what you guys think. Tell me about your experiences. Love to hear them. I love to do this kind of style some more in the future. It's pretty quick, pretty easy, but yeah, had a good time doing it. I'll post some more stuff like this in the future. So until next time,